Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, Chip? What's going on, everybody out there in the XRP, On the Chain, Bitcoin, crypto, global market,
Geopolitical space.
geopolitical
Get them all in
space?
there.
There we go. Kind of pack it all in there. What's going on? Tell you what's going on. We are in the midst of defending the American dream. You know who stepped up? Attorney John Deaton. That's who he stepped up. He's now deemed and monikered the crypto attorney. He has quite an illustrious career. You guys have gotten to know him. He is running for U.S. Senate, getting ready to oust Elizabeth Warren, who's organized a army to take down the entire crypto space in the U.S. But we want to get into this. We want to dig in. How is it that Attorney John Deaton is defending the freedoms right here in the United States? How is he defending the American dream? Did he actually live the American dream? Is that where it all starts? Then you kind of you embody the American dream, and then you're actually able to go out and want to defend it. Is that what it's all about? We're going to dig in. We're going to workshop it. What does all that have to do with cryptocurrency and DeFi? We'll bring it around and we'll connect the dots.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Are you awake now? Did that wake you up? Hello. Good morning. Drop where you're coming in from this fine afternoon, fine night. Look at Walter's in here. Walter's in on time. He's number one. He's first. What? Like that.
Greetings from Celebration.
Celebration, Florida. Celebration.
Good times.
Yeah. We're going to jump right into this John Deaton video. So what's amazing is that it seemed like when the primary is going on, there was no like national attention, and then out of nowhere,
California or Canada? I guess that'd be California.
Yeah, CA. Right? Well, CA.ca is Canada, but I'm thinking California here.
Could be California.
Clarify it.
Could be Canada. We need some clarification.
Yeah, I think it's California.
Could be a whole different country.
California, Houston in the house.
Houston.
There you go. Houston. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into some John Deaton. And what was interesting, as soon as he became the candidate, boom, I've seen him everywhere. And it's phenomenal because Deaton is a force to be reckoned with. And we also have an interview here that Crypto Eddie pulled. Thank God for her, because she's always providing amazing content for the show. But it was just an excerpt. These interviewers, let's face it, if you're going to get interviewed anywhere in Massachusetts, they lean pretty left, and they're trying to get you with some gotcha questions. But I wanted to play this one where he was on Fox Business with Maria Bartoloma right after he won. And this is a good one. I don't think we played this, but this is a solid interview. But let's listen to this. Let's listen to it. Deaton is better than Warren, but Deaton is anti-Trump. He's not really anti-Trump. I don't think no, I don't see that either. I don't see him being a rhino either. I think there's some things. I don't think he's very liberal, not at all. He is, you don't see your liberals talking about sealing up the border. And I think he'll be a force to be reckoned with. He's also for term limits. You've never heard a Democrat come out and speak of term limits. He's not a Democrat. He's not, but he does have his own opinions, and he's going to debate Warren and on the issues that matter for Massachusetts, right? You got to remember where he's running, where he's going to be a U.S. senator from. So I don't see it that way at all. But let's watch this because this is a great interview. And here we go. Hello, everyone. Hello. Here we go. Let's listen in.
Hey.
Welcome back. Attorney and Marine Corps veteran John Deaton declaring victory.
Look at the Democrat plant, 9%, barely cracked 9%. Antonellis, who was, I'm the Trump candidate. I got a Trump hat. I'm wearing a Trump hat. I got a Trump shirt on. Had zero to say. Zero policy items.
It was too much.
It was too much. Not to say that we don't. Jeff, it's no surprise we're big Trump supporters here.
Right. Yeah, we're definitely. John Deaton just hasn't come out to endorse Trump so far. And I don't see him, just based on conversations that we've had with him. It just kind of seeing where he stands on certain issues. I see him being in a very needed position right now. And, you need someone to unseat. Sometimes we'll get all the way there. He's not a never Trumper. He's not someone that, is going to try to, he's going to try to buck the establishment. He's not an establishment guy. He's not a MAGA guy. I don't think. Just based.
Although he has a
again,
lot of
based
mega
on-
positions, though, so
he
that's
has
the thing.
a lot of mega positions. Yeah, Joe, if you can find it, but I don't think he specifically has come out and said anything.
He said he wouldn't endorse Trump, is what he said. He didn't say he's anti-Trump. I've never heard anti-Trump either. So he said he does not. He's not endorsing Trump per se. You also got to remember where he's running to. You also have to remember that he's doing what he thinks is right. He's also pro-choice, right? That's not a position that I agree with, but that's his position. But what I think is good about John Deaton is he'll always do what he thinks is right. He has a very good compass.
Yeah, it would be good if he'd come out to endorse Trump. I think he would get huge amounts of investment dollars. I think you'd get a lot more attention than he's already getting a decent amount of attention. I think you'd get a lot more coming out and just standing, firm. But, he wants to navigate as kind of a middle of the road kind of centrist, being in Massachusetts. He thinks that's what is required to win the state. And he's entitled to run the race the way he wants to run it. And
right.
And I think he still has a pretty good opportunity to unseat Elizabeth Warren. I would love to see Elizabeth Warren removed. I think she's an extremely influential but negative influence within DC. And it's time for her to leave. It's just time for her to go.
I like that name right there. Cash Velocity. He's playing chess. He's playing chess is right. So look, I mean, and you're looking right here that you're not going to see two bigger supporters anywhere in crypto. A lot of what you'll see with these so-called XRP influencers tap dance around it. They play the middle line. We don't play the middle line here. We're authentic. We tell you exactly how we feel. The way I see John Deaton is he's authentic. He's not BSing. He's giving you what he feels. He's doing what he feels is right, and he has a good moral compass. And I think that's the key part of it: having a good moral compass and be able to do this right. I mean, he wants to get in there and put term limits in. Nobody's talking term limits. Nobody's running right now. It's talking term limits. Nobody in office right now is saying that we need term limits. That's Deaton, right? Nobody's talking strength on the border, right? In Massachusetts, how it's destroying the state. Also, what's going on with the child credit that JD Vance. He's talking about that. He's talking about access to healthcare, and these are a lot of the same positions. So is he going to vary different? Fine, he's entitled to. It's his position. Look, there isn't a candidate whether they're running right now or somebody in office that Jeff and I agree with 100%. You're just not going to find it. It's not going to be there. There's enough good stuff going on there, and it's same with RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And his former running mate Nicole. Listen, you got to take the positions you can agree with and go from there, right? Find some unity in something
that we learned from Trump. But, Chip, look at Joe's comment in terms of, well, no one can complain if Lummis or Blackburn choose not to endorse Deaton if Deaton won't support Trump. I don't think I think it would be the other way around, right? That Lummis and I don't even know, has Lummis come out to endorse Trump? I don't know if she has, but Lummis, it's something I was looking it up, but it's also something where Lummis, who portrays herself to be pro crypto, also said that Gary Gensler was on the right side of everything. So, as we kind of dig in and navigate. Now, if Deaton comes out to be anti-Trump, that's a whole different story. So, and I think from that perspective, then we have to have a very, deep conversation over if he's going to come out like Nikki Haley or, one of the others that, or Romney or some of these that, Nikki Haley came out kind of to endorse him. Nikki Haley's the wrong one. It would be Romney came out, and
both of those people are inauthentic, Jeff.
Right. Exactly. So I think, that's kind of what we have to look at. Deaton is going to be very supportive of the crypto community. I think, as we look at the candidates and you want to embrace somebody, embrace Deaton against Elizabeth Warren. He is running as a Republican. Does he have to come out and endorse Trump to say, hey, we want to support him against Elizabeth Warren? And do we want to support him to get into Senate in Massachusetts when we need another voice that's pro crypto and Republican? Again, unless he's coming out against Trump and doing everything he can, but that's not his position. And that would cause again, I think if he came out and supported Trump, I would like it a lot more, but that's not the race that he's running. In Massachusetts, he's got to focus on Elizabeth Warren, and I think that's the criteria of what he's running against, which is where Antonellis, when he came out with a Trump hat, the Trump tie, and he said, "I'm pro-Trump. I'm the only one endorsing Trump."
Zero.
And I look at that and say, well, you can't run on that. You're running against Elizabeth Warren. This isn't a, who's supporting Trump more. It's who can beat and take down Elizabeth Warren. Now, would we have said a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, hey, RFK is going to come out and support Trump? I don't think so. I don't think we would have seen that,
No.
6 months ago or a year ago. And his running mate, they were against Trump. They were trying to win. And then it's interesting times that create strange bedfellows. The whole thing kind of coming together. But to your point, Chip, and it's something that we have to really highlight as we go into this 2024 election. There's a lot of critical points that have to be resolved. One of them is crypto. The other is looking at freedom. The other is supporting the American dream. The other is limited government. The other is the border. John Deaton checks off almost all the boxes, across, down the line. So, we have to look at the race. We really, really critical.
Look at a guy like Rubio. I supported Rubio in Florida, right? And Rubio got weird on some positions. And when he was a candidate, there was really nobody better at the time that could explain conservatism. He was phenomenal at it. He did amazing in interviews, and then he got wishy-washy, right? So look, this is going to happen. John Deaton's authentic. That's what I like about the guy. Is like, I don't have to agree with everything he says, but his heart's in the right place. He's going to do what he's going to fight with. He thinks is right.
Yep. Obviously, we need Deaton more than Warren. Joe is saying, you heard it from me here first. Apparently, that Deaton will be a rhino. He'll be powerless if Trump is not POTUS, unless we get a majority. But if Trump doesn't win, we have a lot more problem.
Dude, Trump's going to win.
Than worrying about Deaton. Right. Trump. I feel very, very confident at this point. Trump's winning, like you said. I don't.
The polls.
But if he doesn't, then we're in trouble. Then it's
the only reason he doesn't win if there's monkey business. Put it down there. But I want to say so John Doe pulled up our stream on both on X and YouTube, and it's clear on X. And then Kelly said, "Yeah, same with her," and both of them, one of them had to go. So there you have it.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and let's watch this interview. It's a good interview, and again, passion. He's winning. That's it. They're not stopping John Deaton. This guy accomplishes what he wants to in his life and his world. That's why I have amazing confidence in him. And Elizabeth Warren is nervous. She's visibly nervous. And there's an interview. I gotta pull that video. I'll pull a video up too that I think we had it for yesterday, but let me try to find it. But it's a good one.
What's up, Caroline coming in?
Hey, Caroline.
Australia. Look at that.
Good day, Caroline. Here we go.
Last night in a three-way Massachusetts Republican primary. He's now set to face off against incumbent Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren this November. Shortly after the race was called, she agreed to participate in 2 October debates against Deaton, but he's challenging Warren to 5 single-issue debates on immigration, the economy, income inequality, foreign wars, and women's productive rights. Joining me now exclusively is the man himself, Massachusetts Senate candidate John Deaton. Congratulations, John. Thanks very much for being here this morning.
No, thank you, Maria, for having me. It's an honor to be on your show, the first person to interview me after the victory.
Well, that's terrific. Thank you for that. I want to get your take on what the plan is now. How do you take on Elizabeth Warren? She's basically in charge of this green climate change agenda. I think she's giving the orders to the administration on who to put in cabinet positions and who to nominate for positions. So how do you win?
Listen, there's no doubt that you're right. Her fingerprints are all over the financial markets going on. And so, listen, Elizabeth Warren, what got me in this race is I saw a poll last year, Maria, that Charlie Baker, former Republican governor, would smoke her if he were running in this race. Beats her by 15 points. Let's remember, she finished 3rd. She couldn't even take 2nd when she ran for president in Massachusetts. Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden beat her. She has a 41% approval rating. She's passed 1 bill in 12 years. And so it's her record that I'm going to win. And people are excited about this race. I have a radical agenda. It's called common sense that we're going to restore to the United States Senate. She's a hyper-partisan person, and the independents in this state are tired of it. What people don't know about Massachusetts, Maria, is 64% of the electorate are independents, and they're coming out in swirls to vote for me.
Well, let me get your take on the agenda that she supports. She's been very supportive of Kamala Harris, saying that there's price gouging, that she wants to keep corporations at bay. She wants to make sure to tax them highly, as well as wealthy individuals. So tell me about your economic plans versus hers in Massachusetts.
Listen, I'm the perfect messenger to take her on these issues. You know, she talks about income inequality because it's a political slogan to her. It lives inside my heart. Maria, I come from extreme poverty, a single mother on welfare and food stamps, living in one of the worst neighborhoods in America. I know what it's like to be dependent on the government. I don't want to just give people another $50 or $100 in food stamps and say, I helped you. I want to lift people up. Listen, Elizabeth Warren's great at one thing, fighting against issues in people, right? She's great at fighting against the rich and the wealthy, but that's not the same as fighting for the poor and the middle class. And so, of course, she's out there talking about greedy corporations and price controls and socialistic agendas. I'm a free market capitalist, and I believe that someone like me who's overcome extreme poverty in his life, who's able to lift himself up out of poverty, is the right messenger to lift poor people up and expand the middle class. And I'm looking forward to that comparison.
Yeah, yours is a phenomenal story, and it's certainly so many of us want to emulate. I have a fantastic panel with me this morning, John. I want to bring the panel in. Tricia, Mahek, give us your take on what you're hearing here, because there's not much time left to get Americans to understand what John Deaton is saying, right? When do mail-in ballots go out, Tricia?
For North Carolina, they go out on September 6th, but of course, the first presidential debate isn't even until the 10th. But John, I really want to hear, what are independent voters, what are these swing voters in Massachusetts telling you? What do they want out of you, and what do they want out of the candidates?
What they want is common sense. Listen, illegal immigration and the migrant crisis is bankrupting this state. We spent over $1 billion in the last year. We're going to spend over another $1 billion in the next fiscal year. It's literally bankrupting this state while we're experiencing an exodus of people leaving the state. And so there's that issue. That's the number one issue on voters' mind. And then it's the economy. Massachusetts is now the second most expensive state to live for working families. Wow. Regular people are being priced out of the economy. Housing in Massachusetts is more expensive than California now. And people are tired of it, and they want change.
Yeah, you know, I did not realize that Massachusetts was the number 2 most expensive. I know that Republicans in Massachusetts are demanding information on the state's alleged $1 billion in secret migrant crisis spending. What is this money being spent on? They submitted a formal request last month for a detailed cost breakdown from Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey's administration, as Healey is celebrating her state securing over $20 million in federal funding to help handle the migrant crisis. Meanwhile, we've got story after story of migrant crime. An illegal Brazilian migrant now in federal custody this morning after being charged with raping a minor in Massachusetts. Worley Nito crossed the Texas border illegally back in 2018. In 2023, he was found guilty of suspicion of strangulation or suffocation, assault and battery on a family member. He received a 364-day prison sentence, but a judge suspended all of it but 90 days. He was arrested later on these latest charges back in January, taken into federal custody at the end of last month. John, how would you assess the migrant crisis impact on Massachusetts?
Maria, we are a border state. What people don't know about Massachusetts, we have a right to shelter law here that was enacted in the early 80s that does not require residency. And so the migrants come here and the government must put them up in hotels and must feed them. And we don't even get any transparency of where that money is going. That $20 million you're bragging about when you're spending over $1 billion is nothing. And what we're hearing is that there's no bid contracts being issued that the public doesn't get to see. The cheapest rate I've seen is $150 a night. And then I've heard it's $64 a day. Maria, when you add those two numbers up, that's $78,000 per migrant. Tell that to an electrician apprentice who's working 50 to 60 hours trying to feed a family making 75 grand, or a teacher or a bus driver. It's crazy. It's out of control. And Massachusetts is ground zero.
It's a great point. Do you think the electoral will come out for you?
I think they will. Listen, we saw some polling 6 years ago. Elizabeth Warren had 55% of the independents likely to vote for her. She's lost over 22 points in that. It's down under a third. If I get all those votes, I win this election. And they're coming out to vote for me in droves. And I'm going to shock the world. I'm going to win this election, Maria.
Wow, that is great confidence, John. Real quick, Mahak, we saw what happened to the squad.
Well, we did. They got taken out because of their platform against Jews in Israel. So I think as long as people like John are out there speaking the truth and speaking about the American dream, my gosh, talk about a Marine who pulled himself out of poverty from the bootstraps, and now he's coming back to serve people. As long as you continue to speak the truth, your message is going to prevail.
John, we'll be watching your race. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
What do you think of that, Jeff?
Man, you know,
solid.
It's really, really solid. You got to put it into perspective. You know, you go through, you look at his website, you look at the issues, you see where he stands. You know, you go down line item by line item: inflation and debt, poverty and class warfare, transparency, education, energy. You know, he wants to be energy independent. Talks about helping the veteran, talks about term limits, talks about Israel, what's going on, talks about opioid addiction, talks about what's going on with China, and, you know, bringing all that. Those are really his top issues. But I would say this is it. You know, it's all about inflation, debt, poverty, class warfare, and transparency of action. So I think, Chip, you know, some of the things that he's hitting on, we know how he acts, we know what his agendas are, we know how he gets out there and supports the people. So we pretty much have an idea. He wins. He's going to fight for the people. He did a pro bono case, intervening on behalf of 70 and 80,000 individuals, going after the SEC. He didn't have to do that. He did that, spent a huge amount of time and effort putting all that together, came out for the people to right a wrong. And that's why he's running for Senate now. So I think he's running for all the right reasons. Some people seek power. He's running to go and help the individual and make sure that the American dream that he's been able to live and benefit from is available for future generations. And that's what it's all about. It's not about creating handout for the next generation and making them subservient to a socialist government, and giving and covering 100% college tuition, regardless of what you study, giving zero accountability, one payer insurance provider system to degrade our healthcare infrastructure even more. You know, that's not what it's about. But that's where the Democrats stand.
Well, when you were scrolling up and down this, a lot of these look very familiar to me, Jeff. I'm not going to name them exactly, but geez, they sure as hell look familiar. Education, what's going on with the economy, right? And keep going. Keep scrolling. Transparency, bringing transparency back. Education, how screwed up that is. Geez, there's an energy drill, baby drill. Sounds very, very familiar to me. Veterans, who's been the best to veterans? Well, what Trump did for the VA, you know, my dad served as well, and my dad said it never got better. The wait times, dealing with doctors, they cleaned it all up. I happen to know some of the things they did inside that really changed, and a lot of that happened under the Trump administration. You know, not treat you look at messages, you know, term limits, Israel. You see a lot of similarities. That's where, you know, especially super strong on the border, talking about the opioid addiction, talking about China. There's a lot to unpack there. Sure as heck looks very familiar to me, Jeff.
It does.
Let's play this clip. He was also on Charles Payne, one of my favorites for the last 20 plus years, but he was making the rounds, and this is amazing to see because he's getting the attention that's deserved. He needs to raise the money, but Elizabeth Warren, we'll play a little bit of a clip of her too. She's gotten very comfortable. She's gotten very comfortable. And wait till you see this clip. A little too comfortable. And John's coming after her. He's challenged her to 5. She's agreed to 2, but he wants to have single issue debates. He's named the 5. He wants to talk about one issue and debate that issue. And the funny thing is she's got nothing on him, as you'll see pretty soon. But this is with John Deaton with Charles Payne.
My next guest just won the GOP primary to take on Elizabeth Warren for a U.S. Senate seat. I want to bring in our Republican Senate candidate from Massachusetts, John Deaton. My man, congratulations.
Thank you, Charles. It was a good victory, but
it's
that's not the reason I got in the race.
But why did you win? Why did voters resonate with you?
Because I am the walking, living, and breathing embodiment of the American dream. 65% of the voters got together. They see that I can beat Elizabeth Warren. I know a lot of people doubt that, Charles, but it can be done. No one's unbeatable.
Right. Okay. So there's one thing to win the GOP primary.
Right.
How do you get enough in the state? Because a lot of people feel like this is voting, just for the same old person. I don't know that they even know the issues anymore.
Well, the problem is, though, illegal immigration, inflation. Massachusetts is now second most expensive state to live in. It's crushing us. And this is what's happened, Charles. They went so far left, they've offended center-left folks. And if they see a reasonable, common-sense alternative, they're voting for them. And that's me.
I have your book on my desk, and your story is absolutely phenomenal. Talk to the audience, because maybe everyone doesn't know your story a little bit.
Well, I come from extreme poverty, grew up in Detroit, single mother on welfare and food stamps, surrounded by violence. I was forced to be a high school dropout because of gun violence early on. At 14, I vowed I'd break cycle, and if I became a dad, I'd be a good dad. And I am the embodiment of the American dream, Charles, and everything that's capable in a great country like ours. I got in this race because I see that dream dying, and I don't want to be the last poor kid to make it out of poverty in this country. I'm going to do something about it.
So the bottom line, it's still possible, because it seems to me that this race really is one side saying you cannot do it on your own. Give us the power. Give us the power to be big government. We'll pick winners and losers. We'll make sure you always come in first place. And the other side saying, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Right. That's frightening to a lot of people these days.
It is, but this whole idea of our country is about self-determination, that your birth does not dictate your destiny, and that in America we get to dictate our destiny. And the fact that I'm running against one of the most entrenched Washington elites, that alone proves the American dream's alive, and I'm going to preserve it, Charles.
Elizabeth Warren, I mean, she said America's problem. She talked about gun violence, what you mentioned, but she said the racial wealth gap and some other things, all connected to the concentration of the hands of the wealthy and the well-connected. And it seems so amazing to me. These people have been in D.C. for decades, and they keep coming up with the same story, but their policies always seem to help the well-connected, right? Billionaires make more money under Warren and Biden than they ever made with any other president.
100%. But Charles, it's the approach that's fundamentally flawed. She's great at fighting against things and people and issues. It's not the same as fighting for. For example, she's great at fighting against the rich and the wealthy, she claims.
But she's great with the rhetoric.
Right.
I haven't seen any evidence that she's beaten them.
That's right. But her approach, that's not the same as fighting for the poor and for the middle class. My approach is uplifting. We do not have to tear other people down to lift people up, and I think it's going to resonate. People are ready for an uplifting approach, Charles.
We've seen some socialists lose in the last election cycle. A lot of Democrat socialists, at least 3 or 4 of them, on the congressional side. Warren is a big target. Do you think he can really pull it off?
I do. Listen, if former Governor Charlie Baker was running in this race, he would smoke her by 15 points. That was a poll last year. I'm not Governor Baker. I don't have his name recognition, but it proves that she's vulnerable. And if you don't mind me saying, John Deaton for Senate.com, they can go out there and they can help me. I can win this race.
Say it one more time.
John Deaton for Senate.com. I can win this race, everyone. Please help me. We're going to defeat Elizabeth Warren.
I'm so glad to see you wearing your sneakers, my man, because you know what? It's going to take a whole lot.
Inspired by you, my man.
It's going to take a lot of shoe leather, though, to win that one.
Thank you, brother.
Scott Brown. Don't never forget Scott Brown, because it is possible for a Republican to win there.
And Scott Brown was a weak candidate, by the way. But he had a message that resonated. That was part of what it was, and he did shock and awe. And if there's anyone's going to shock and awe, that's definitely going to be Deaton. I want to throw this up here. Norseman, thank you so much for that. He snags a MAGA Trump coin, even if it's 100. Dumps most of my XRP, holding a small bag just in case. It's going to get interesting, people. Stay up. Norseman, appreciate you, man. Longtime supporter of the show. Really appreciate that a lot. Mega. So look, I mean, I love the determination. There's no quitting John Deaton at all, man.
No,
There's nothing but perseverance. And, you look at his agenda, you look at what he's talking about, and it's solid. It's solid, And again, I say this to everything. You guys will listen to the show. You'll hear Jeff and I pontificate, and you're not going to agree with everything we say. You're just not. I happen to agree with everything Jeff says, but that's a different story. We're pretty much lockstep there. I mean, we kind of agree. Sometimes we'll disagree just to disagree. We might see a slightly different angle. It's rare that you get that sort of connected. It's pretty rare. Yeah, but it happens. I mean, it's not like it doesn't happen. And you don't have to agree with everything. You let us know in the comments pretty often. So it's fine if like Joe Buddy said, like, hey, I feel this. Great, dude. I get your perspective. I have a little bit of a different perspective. So does Jeff, but that's okay. We all have to be able to share it with the see. And we put counter arguments up there all the time. Like, we'll put stuff up there that doesn't necessarily it might be something counter to what we believe. So yeah, she's part of the system right there. She is part of the system.
She's part of the system more than we want to know, right? So she sits on the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee with the Senate, which is why she has a decent amount of pull when it comes to crypto-related issues, because many times they end up falling in this direction on this committee. And then there's specific subcommittees. You get her out of there, these are definitely some critical, criteria. So imagine, if they do have, and there is going to be some sort of a crypto committee put together, and Trump is recruiting for that, and you try to get people, having somebody that's sitting on the banking, housing. I don't know if they would put John Deaton there, but we get Elizabeth Warren out of there. That's a great thing. But you have like John Kennedy, there's a minority in, we got Tim Scott, in membership of the JD Vance is on the Banking, Housing, Urban Affairs. This is an important committee. And, John Fetterman is over there. But look at all these on this side. Look at the people you got to get rid of.
You got to get rid of that.
Got to get rid of Sherrod Brown. Got to get rid of Elizabeth Warren.
Well, Sherrod Brown's going to be going. He's going to lose his race too, I think.
He's going. Elizabeth Warren is going, and that's it. Look at this. Warnock is over there. So
Warnock is a joke.
People that it's time for them to go.
He's a complete asshat, that guy. So I want to play this interview. This was Elizabeth Warren. John Deaton happened to tweet this out, or post it up on X. And one of the things that he said was, like, she has nothing on him. Like, listen to the interview or listen to the questions she's asked. I mean, she starts. This is the problem a lot of times with the left. They focus on the wrong things all the time, right? And she focuses, and what John Deaton's talking about is that there's this straw man, and she's going to go fight the straw man. Now, who was great at this was Obama. Obama would be like, we got to do this and we got to do that. I'm like, well, you're the president. Do it. Who's stopping you, right? It was always this mythical creature, the straw man argument. We got to do this, and they did this, and they always fighting against something. Fight, complain. That's why you were sent there, to fix it. You were there for 12 years, Warren. You had Obama in office for 8 years. You were going to fix it all. And what the healthcare ended up being, don't worry, you can keep your healthcare. No, you couldn't keep your healthcare. You'll keep your doctor. No, you couldn't keep your doctor. So all of this BS and thinking you did something really phenomenal, you didn't fix it. You made it worse in many, many instances. And Warren passed one bill. Nobody even knows what it is because it's inconsequential. Yet she's on X every day, 3 times a day, bitching about the companies. The companies ripping off people, price controls. She's going on and talking about how Joe Biden ignored the Supreme Court and his they say we're against the debt forgiveness for students. Didn't stop him. Do it anyway. Screw you, Supreme Court. This is who Warren is, and Deaton can crush her. But listen to this interview here.
He wants to replace you. I don't mean this facetiously. Obviously, you want to win. What's wrong with John Deaton and John Deaton's politics? And by the way, he says he didn't vote for Trump. He's not going to vote for Trump this time. But go ahead.
So let's start with how he got to be the Republican nominee.
Okay. What's wrong with John Deaton? Now, listen to what she says. This is just an empty head right here.
It's interesting right here.
Right. He's down in Rhode Island. 3, maybe 4 crypto billionaires recruit him to run for the Republican nomination. He moves over to Massachusetts, and they put $2.5 million into ads to get him the Republican nomination. The other two Republicans didn't have that kind of money. So now he's got that seat, and now the crypto billionaires are hoping maybe they'll have a chance to pick me off, and that means that they will get rid of someone who is not always on board with the things that they want to be able to do.
Is that your only concern about?
Oh, thank God for the interviewer.
She's terrified. She's terrified. Though.
She's terrified. She's terrified of him, and he's pro-choice. Took that away, gone out of the equipment. He's mad. No, took that away. Not going to vote for Trump. What has she got? She's got nothing. She's not strong on the border, right? So this is it. Look at what's happening here. So he says, "Oh, is that it? How we got into the race? Crypto billionaires?"
So I was just going to say, but here's the deal. I get what the crypto billionaires are trying to do here, but understand if they get John Deaton elected, the consequence of that will be in a 50-50 Senate that the Republicans take control. And Republican control means, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 Supreme Court nominees that come up next will have to be Republican approved. It means that the Republican efforts in the House and the Senate to have a nationwide abortion ban will have new life. It means cuts to Medicare and Social Security will be back.
Here they go. There's such a broken record, and they're dumber than rocks, right? First of all, Trump has never said I think they forget he was president for 4 years. There were 0 cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, right? All he did was preserve what was already there and want to move funding around, right? But they go to these things, and he recruited. Nobody recruited John Deaton. Crypto billionaires didn't even agree with him. Deaton talks about it a little bit later, but there are people that didn't want him. There's people that have blocked him because he was going after the SEC. Okay, so this is a ridiculous argument. And then when she talks about, she's like, well, John Deaton got in the race, and the crypto billionaires. Now understand what you're going to lose. You're going to lose Supreme Court. Does this sound like somebody who's confident that John Deaton isn't a threat? She's terrified of this guy. Right? Am I wrong, Jeff? She's terrified. She's like, oh, this is what you're going to lose. And she's not talking about the people of Massachusetts. She's talking, she thinks she's the celebrity senator. She represents all of America. When have you ever heard her represent Massachusetts? I've only seen it the last 2 months that she's been talking about it on her X account. But aside from that, she doesn't give a crap. She's just talking about what you're going to lose Supreme Court. You're going to lose, cuts to you in the economy. This is all bogus.
Back on the table, and it means that billionaires will get even more tax cuts.
So you discount what he said, I think, on election night. I read somewhere that he's open to voting for a leader of either party. He hasn't made up his mind yet. What's your reaction to that?
Once you caucus with a party, which is what happens at the beginning, you declare in a 50-50 Senate, that is the party that becomes the majority. And that determines whether Chuck Schumer or Mitch McConnell is the leader.
Don't worry. Mitch McConnell will never be the leader again. And you want to talk about an asshat rhino? It's Mitch McConnell.
Of the Senate. That determines who is every single chair of every single committee.
There you go,
that determines who controls what votes come to the floor and what votes don't come to the floor. That is the person who determines what Supreme Court nominees, what Court of Appeals nominees, what District Court nominees move forward and what don't. So understand, in a 50-50 Senate, which is what we have, we lose 1 seat as Democrats and the Republicans take over, and we've lost it all.
Talking to Elizabeth.
She had nothing, Jeff. He asked her the question, what problem do you have with John Deaton? Couldn't attack them on policy, couldn't attack him on ideas. She went to, and this is the thing where John Deaton talks about, Warren, is the fact that she's no longer for the people of Massachusetts. She's playing this, I'm the celebrity, and I get to tell the banks, and I get to tell this, and I'm going to be pretend to be. When did she ever mention Massachusetts or the Commonwealth or the people that she represents at all? Did she say one thing about John Deaton in that entire thing? When I gave her a choice, is that it? Well, no. And then she went on with the same old drivel, Jeff. What did you think of that?
No, there's nothing. I mean, she's definitely nervous. She's terrified. But what's interesting, they always bring up, the same thing about cutting Medicare and Medicare solvency and things like that. So if we want to go back into the archives, what did Bill Clinton do? He extended Medicare solvency from 1999 through 2025. So Medicare was expected to remain solvent until when? Oh, next year. by the way. So now their narrative, whoever is going to be in office, oh, see, the Republicans, cut Medicare. That's why it's now insolvent. Or here's the problem. And there's some things that have been done, but they go back into the same regurgitated rhetoric about what was happening. And there were cuts along the way. So we're talking about Clinton back, around, this was, I'm trying to think when they started, so obviously 99 is when they started to put this together, that 99 to 2025, because Medicare was going to become insolvent. And that's what I was looking to see. Maybe I scrolled right past it, but they talk about fiscal discipline. If it wasn't for Newt Gingrich, there wouldn't have been a balance. There was a nice balance with Newt Gingrich, thank goodness, as Speaker of the House. But here you have dedicated the surplus to save Social Security and reduce the national debt. That was one thing. Here, Medicare was going to become insolvent. Social Security was going to become relatively insolvent. Back in, and things have gotten worse. But if you go back and you actually look at transfer payments, and how much of the overall national budget goes to different things. 2/3 of our national budget go to transfer payments. Those transfer payments are, going in terms of like Social Security and, go out in terms of what's paid on Medicare. All of those things kind of compile in, but 2/3, probably a little bit more of our national budget are taken up by things. Then 1/3 of national budget covers everything else. And that's where Medicare and Social Security were going to become insolvent, because you don't have enough people paying it in terms of what is going to be paid out, especially with the baby boomers. They all retired at a certain point. There were so many of them, and there were less people to take care of them at that moment in time. So there were a lot of issues. Obviously, it kind of gets a lot more expansive than that, but it's the same narrative. They're talking Chip. They're talking about the same stuff. She's not talking about anything new, 25 years plus. And she's saying the exact same thing that they said 25 years ago. They said the same thing about Ronald Reagan. Oh, he was in 1980.
Yeah, they said the same thing. And this is Scott. He says,
40 years, 40 plus.
Ripple donates to Fair Shake. They've donated $0 to John Deaton campaign. People need to hit them up about this. And I couldn't agree more. They absolutely have to, because what's happening is such an incredible sham. I post about it pretty often, and I get a lot of support from folks out there. So this one was back in August 7th. So here it is. Results from a straw poll in Massachusetts. By the end of the night, Deaton campaign, boosted by Baker allies, walked away with overwhelming support. More than 200 people voted in the straw poll. He got the majority, right? Hey, Fair Shake, time to contribute to John Deaton, and we'll beat Elizabeth Warren come this November. What say you? 0, nothing, right? Because they're a partisan Democrat run by a guy who used to be on Schumer's team, okay? We know who he is. Cool. Then, after he won, there he is. John Deaton clearly won. And I said, hey, dear Fair Shake, John Deaton has won the Massachusetts Republican primary tonight, and it wasn't even close. Deaton is a fighter, and he's going to win in November. Now it's time to rally behind Deaton and retire the most anti-crypto senator in American history. Best regards, the crypto voting force of America. 0. It's got a lot of love. 26 comments, 156 reposts, 670 people liked it. 7 people bookmarked it, but it's not enough. We gotta put a lot of pressure on Fair Shake. It's at Fair Shake. Ask them why they're not supporting Deaton. Everybody here should write a post and say, hey, Fair Shake, why are you not supporting Deaton, right? Because it's a sham. Like, you had Ripple, you had Coinbase, and I think Kraken. The majority of it, like over $100 million that they've contributed, and they're giving $10 million to Adam Schiff, who's never in any danger. It's insane. Here's another John Deaton interview. This is one that Crypto Eddie pulled. Thank you for pulling this.
We have a lot of good interviews. Look at this.
What I'm all about is not about the regulation overall of crypto. It's about the money laundering aspect. It's the law enforcement part of this. Crypto billionaires evidently don't want that, so they went out and recruited a candidate to run against me because they bought the Republican nomination for him by putting millions of dollars in so he could run these ads. And now they think they're going to buy the seat for him.
Respond. First of all, the only time I've ever been recruited in Massachusetts by the United States Marine Corps to serve my country, Senator Warren. number one. Number two, I got in this race, okay? The Republicans didn't want me to run in this race. I wasn't the first choice. You talked about politics in Massachusetts. Previous Massachusetts GOP chairmen are out there saying, don't vote for Deaton.
You're talking about like Jim Lyons?
Second of all, I have actually upset the billionaire class in crypto. I have hedge fund crypto billionaires who have blocked me on social media because I've exposed the conflicts of interest and the regulatory capture that went on at the SEC and other agencies.
But you do have a super PAC backing you with $2 million plus of crypto money.
Listen, I have nothing to do with super PAC, but I would tell you this: when Senator Warren, she's earned that. She's focused on crypto. Let me ask the viewers, the listeners out there, why did the senior senator from Massachusetts, when she announced her reelection, focus on crypto and say she was building an anti-crypto army? Here's something else that your producer can fact check. Less than 1% of Bitcoin and crypto is used for illicit purposes. You want to know the number one illicit enterprise? The banks.
Mic drop right there. That's what he said. It was a mic drop moment. It was a mic drop moment. Totally nailed it. Absolutely 100% crushed that, Jeff. I mean, fiat currency, well, you'll have to go years, 10, 20, 40 years. Since the beginning of time, you want to talk about the biggest offender for illicit stuff? It's cash. It's cold hard cash, and it's the USD. Okay, and nothing's going to unseat that. And if you don't have all the facts, I love how this is what's great about Deaton. Deaton this is a lefty liberal show. He gets on there and hits it out of the park. You're not going to slow him down, man. He's going to drive right through you, Jeff. Right?
Yeah, it's too much. She tries to frame him as a crypto industry stooge. There's all these articles. One article after another over there, all these left-wing articles. They're trying to promote her. They're trying to defend her. They want to make sure, she's got her whole media army, putting everything together so that they can come out and hopefully, defend her and make sure that they keep her in office. What's interesting to me is that he's got under her skin so much that she has felt the need, even before the primary, to start commenting on John Deaton. And she's actually terrified of what this represents. When you have a candidate that is confident and feels protected and feels entitled to their position, they don't feel the need to have a debate. Look at Debbie Wasserman Schultz in South Florida. She's had multiple times, over the past number of years, there's been a candidate running against her. She's never once, regardless of request, she's never once entered into any kind of debate or commentary in the media. Never. And she's, a sitting, congressional representative. Here's a very high profile U.S. senator who seems to have a relatively decent amount of political clout and influence in DC. If she felt confident and comfortable in her position, she wouldn't feel the need to come out and say anything about Deaton and make up stories that these billionaires have come together. And that's only reason why, it's just a little bit too much. It really is too much.
Look at this comment by Jim D. He says, listen to Liz whine about favors granted to Deaton by billionaires when she's consumed and owned by Wall Street while pretending to be for the people, and utter fraud. That's spot on, Jim D. Never has a statement been more truer. And Deaton brings this up. She went 12 years ago. She's going to go tell the banks, and the banks are ripping people off. And then they're in their back pocket and they're donating to her campaign, and pretty much owned there. So, Deaton's not, and it's funny too, because what do we hear Charles Payne bring up? It's so funny how all these companies love to support a Democrat because they make more money than ever before. They just thrive and thrive and thrive, right? Incredible. Here's another part of that same interview. This is one that John Deaton had posted on X.
Government spent almost $8 billion, federal government, to build 7 EV charging stations.
That's absurd. And so it's because they threw this money at it trying to meet some kind of artificial deadline. That's not common sense. And so what I'm talking about is sitting back and saying, what makes common sense as we move forward with policy?
So the $8 billion for 7, I'm not sure on that one. There's $150 million coming in to build multiple new EV charging stations.
Don has the facts, and she's not sure about it. Well, it's been publicized and been all over the place. Okay.
In Massachusetts as of earlier this week. Although I will tell you, Rob Lane, my producer, just got in my ear and said, "No, yeah, that's basically true." So there you go. What you said is basically true.
And that's another thing. I'm not going to gaslight people. I'm going to run on facts.
Any questions? She was, oh, I don't know. I have to, and then thank God for the producer that actually fact checked. That's true. And she's like, oh, it turns out it's true. Oh, I mean, keep living in your echo chamber. John Deaton's going to shock the world on November, man. He's going to shock the world. That's what I can tell you right now. He's going to mix things up in Washington, and they need an ass kicking there.
They definitely need an ass kicking. What's amazing is if that reporter was interviewing Elizabeth Warren, and Elizabeth Warren would add a similar kind of statement, right? She wouldn't go and fact check her. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow. Thank you for enlightening us. But John Deaton says it. She's immediately like, oh, I don't know. We're going to have to check that. We have to go and fact check that. I mean, there's such a double, it's crazy. You just
Jeff,
keep
you can't get over yourself. You just can't get over it.
I can't get over this. I can't get over how crazy it is. I mean, we know it exists. We deal with it every single day. But then you hear it, you see it, we're living it, and there's two media platforms, and there's two different ways that they handle the different candidates. There's the Democrat way for the Democrats, and then there's everybody else. And they're just, it's obvious that, it's just propaganda. The entire media, all the 3-letter, I know we've talked about this for so long.
You think, Jeff? What did we give you that impression?
I don't know. I'm just looking for things to fill in some space until we pull up the next. But no. So here's what Alchemist said: Deaton will not gaslight like 99% of other politicians, left or right. True. That's 100% true.
And it's one of the reasons I like Trump, because Trump, look, he's just a guy, right? He's not slick. He doesn't talk like a slick politician. He talks off the cuff. He goes off prompter. But you get someone who's genuine. He's not an elegant speaker. He's not an Obama. He's not a Bill Clinton. He's not a great orator like Reagan. That's not who he is. He's just a real guy. He's a real guy that has real solutions. He brings common sense approach too. And he was able to, basically turn around a lot of different things going on. And then I saw this interview and I thought this was interesting. I saw this video. The man on the street video.
Contrarian.
He might be a gaslight, but I mean, I don't know about that, but I mean, orange gas. He's orange man bad. It's like, okay, so you're going to vote for the socialist who is a complete nutter, not popular at all, but just vote for her because we hate Deaton, right? So it's a little bit insane. Wait, do I have that video? I don't have it. Oh, I thought I had it. Anyway, we're going to pivot and we're going to go to this here. Let's go show the screen. I thought for sure I had that video, but maybe not. Jeff, when you start seeing articles that look like the Babylon Bee, you really have to ask yourself a question, like, what is reality anymore? So Kamala Harris visits a spice shop known for hating and slamming Republicans, and then she calls for the end of divisiveness. And if you went into their website, they had this thing. They kind of just updated it because they were getting a lot of hate. But it was like they didn't want to do business with Republicans. Like, if you're a Republican, don't go in their shop. Don't do business with them. And then they soft shoot it back and says, yeah, we are this and that. But I'm like, this story by the New York Post started to read like a Babylon Bee sort of a parody thing. You're like, what's real anymore? We can't tell what's real. Nobody knows. It's just insane. Yeah, I couldn't download that video. You're queuing up next.
It just, I don't know if I can't even get it to restart.
We'll refresh the screen when you share the thing, and then it'll start playing. It's really weird. Yeah, that's Insta.
Let's see if this plays.
Horrible video, platform.
I don't like the platform. Then we got to see some of the, but this goes right to the point. I mean, there's exactly where we're at here. So let's see if we can hear this.
By them, by the way.
Oh, I muted it. Here we go. Is it okay to have different opinions, essentially?
Different opinion than you, and then you get angry with them for that and try to convince them to agree with you. I remember growing up, people just had different opinions, and they were just individuals as a result of that. Are you trying to homogenize everybody so everyone has your opinion? So that's a new phenomenon that I don't remember growing up with, A. But B, I don't mind debates. A debate started this country. It's when you start arguing about what is objectively true. Then, I don't know what you're doing, but you might as well move back into the cave, because that's where you're going to land if you don't even know or understand how to establish what is true and base your legislation and laws on that rather than on the political whims of one party or another.
Man, I thought that was really hard hitting.
Yeah, by somebody who's actually on the left, right? So, but he's right. I mean, it's like, when do we become this sort of like this, emotional blow-ups and this and that? Listen, you don't have to. I've engaged with people with the left, and I just don't understand. Like, well, who cares? These are better to talk it out, have a debate about it, but it's insane to think anything different.
And then when you debate things, Chip, you get someone like this who's the founder of Greenpeace.
Yeah, which we know Greenpeace ended up becoming.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, this is interesting too, because he's saying, hey, you got to question things, but if you're going to listen to Elizabeth Warren, you shouldn't question anything. And if you're going to listen to Harris or any of those people, you can't question anything. But here's the president.
One of my missions is to turn on its head the idea that carbon dioxide is a pollutant and somehow dangerous, when in fact it is the most important nutrient for all life on Earth, and without it, this would be a dead planet. So I say not only is carbon dioxide good, it is essential. And it's a good thing that we are putting some more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because it was running low before we came along. If we had definitive proof that CO2 was causing serious problems and we could prove it, don't you think they would write that down on a piece of paper somewhere so people could read it? They don't have definitive proof, period, in science. I'm a student of the philosophy and history of science, and I know that the scientific method has not been applied in such a way as to prove that carbon dioxide is causing the Earth to warm. You think in a few years?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Very good, man.
He gets into it further, but it's amazing, right? So this was one of the co-founders of Greenpeace. They were there saving animals. They were going after the whaling. They were going after the slaughter of dolphins. I mean, there were a lot of things that were going on, but when it comes to things like, and so you have an entire political ideology that's built on certain narratives. One of those narratives is this Green New Deal, which is they want to take everything away. That's why Elizabeth Warren is one of the reasons she's so passionately against cryptocurrency is because it doesn't fit their narrative, especially when you look at Bitcoin. She's so passionate against Bitcoin because of the power that is consumed in the mining process and the processing process of the algorithms, and then across the board, the amount of power, computer power, and electric power that's required to power blockchain in general. But that's because that's the one little center they want to focus on, but it's just crazy. So they create a fictitious narrative to control people. They want to tax you. They want you to, spend more money. And they, at the end of the day, they want to make everybody some sort of a, within socialist environment, the government controls everything you do. I mean, you don't have to look too far. There's countries that are doing that right now.
Right on.
It doesn't work. Definitely.
Yeah. So Valentina Gomez, I want to praise something a little bit, but I struggled to find a video. I think I found one that I can play, but she was running for Secretary of State for Missouri. She lost her primary race, but you want to talk about an authentic candidate. Like she basically, you filthy, Jim D's cracking me up over here today.
They would ban carbonated beverages.
Yeah, I mean, carbon, right? We need carbon credits so we can feel good about our world. So anyway, this is one because she puts a lot of copywritten music in her ads and her videos that she puts up. So I put this just to kind of give you a flavor of who she is, and then I want to show something that kind of came up.
United States Congresswoman, and the only flag that should be allowed is the American flag, not all of this gay garbage or Palestinian garbage. And let me remind you, You serve the American people, not the pedophiles or the terrorists that these flags represent.
So yeah, that was it. So she's, I mean, she drops a lot of language that you just wouldn't see a politician necessarily talking about, Jeff, right? I mean, it's like she's a little even for me, it's a little bit much. And then she talks about shooting big, beautiful guns, and she calls people out and she calls them names and stuff. Like, I can't play this video, but if you just watch the words, you'll see the words on the screen. Can you hear that? You can't hear that, right?
No. Nope.
Okay, good.
No volume. That's that's great. I have to stay silent because nobody's
It's your website. Don't be weak in gay.com. And she got canceled twice. So she got canceled the first time. She put it up using WordPress. First it was on WordPress.com. Then she put her own website up using WordPress, and they canceled her there. They took away her software. So she got canceled twice in a row. Salt has helped lower your blood pressure. Yeah, dude, that's another misnomer. There's so many misnomers.
Blood pressure, diabetes. There was another one where I was watching on the food pyramid. I mean,
such bullshit.
Obviously, we know a lot about these things, but it's coming out more and more. Just everything that they did was really set up to make people obese, unhealthy, and fueled the pharma industry. Pharma's big business. When you have inexpensive things in the 40s and 50s, you didn't have obesity like we do today. It's insane.
No,
60s, 70s. It was probably starting in like 70s, 80s, when obesity started.
So I asked Valentina, because Jungle made this image of Chris Larson wearing a white dudes for Harris.
No. God.
And I said, hey, Valentina, what do you think about crypto billionaire Chris Larson endorsing Kamala Harris? And then Jungle said, yeah, hey, this is especially shocking since the Biden administration just harassed his company for the last 4 years, and now he wants to sign up for another round. I was like, but look at this picture, dude. Jungle, it cracks me up, man.
Oh, that's great.
She didn't answer it, but I mean, it's man, how funny is that, man? Some funny stuff. Yeah, meat and salt. That's right, dude. I use, and it's so funny. People will use these artificial sweeteners, dude. Just use sugar. Use raw sugar, dude. If you're going to use something,
don't use white
sugar's not great for you. Yeah, I use the raw stuff. Whatever.
That's the best.
But these crappy, these horrible artificial sweeteners. It's the whole thing with butter, dude. You need a lot of fat. Your brain is, if you don't want to get dementia, it requires a lot of cholesterol. And this whole thing of not having cholesterol, we need cholesterol.
We need cholesterol.
We need tons of cholesterol. Tons of lard, butter, whatever it is.
Salt.
You need that stuff. And people are using margarine. First of all, it tastes like crap. Second of all, it tastes like crap. Third of all, it's horrible. It's like it's like my parents bought into all that stuff. They were like having, margarine and fake stuff. And I'm like, just give me some good chunk of Irish fat butter. I want to just slither
I love Irish butter. As long as
it's the only stuff that I use, man. It's like
best butter.
The best butter ever.
It's the best. I keep putting up the same one. Here's the other one from Van Life. Flip the food pyramid upside down. You'll live longer. That's right.
A lot longer. Yeah, a lot longer, man. Yeah, beef, butter.
Bread here. Bread in this country is no good because it goes back to processed wheat. The wheat is
bacon and eggs. Yeah. Yeah, I started eating bacon again, dude. It's just fantastic. Butter, eggs, the whole thing, man. And Van,
olive oil. I was doing coconut oil in the morning. Now I'm doing olive oil in the morning. A tablespoon of olive oil.
Gotta have the right olive oil, but
yeah, good, pure, good organic.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Condensed milk and coffee is great. It's interesting. Condensed milk can taste really good. It's heavy creams are good. Whipping cream in your coffee. Yeah, man.
Good in your coffee. Get a good dark.
Charles is butter over margarine. What is there anybody here that would give the counter argument to that margarine is better than butter? Because
do they still make margarine? Is it still a thing?
Dude, it's a thing. You go in the store and it's like they have so many different brands and stuff. The only reason I know about it is because my parents had it in the refrigerator. I'm like, do you guys don't have butter? Oh, butter's bad for the cholesterol. I'm like, no. Let's buy some Irish fat butter. I go to Costco and I buy 5 of those big giant bars at one time, like for $10.
It's great. Then you put it on the bread. I always cut a slice and I'll eat it. I love it.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing in the world, man.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Jim D, latest studies prove higher clean cholesterol, not glycated by sugar, oxidized by plant seed oil, is market fit for lifelong disease. Fake science. Yeah, and the whole idea of science, dude, science be like the science. Science is a constant question. There is no settled science. They haven't even figured out gravity yet, dude. Gravity is like 70%. Most of the time, gravity doesn't even apply. They're like, gravity. We made up this thing called gravity to explain how things work. Meanwhile, it doesn't even. But that's settled, right? Settled science. Jeff, it's all been settled. Science is a constant question.
Trust the science.
Bro. Trust the science, bros. It's just...
Yeah. There you go. Protein. That's it. Steaks, eggs, salmon, chicken. You got to get the good chicken too. Get like Amish. I love the Amish chicken. Seed oils developed as lubricants, not food. That's right.
Seed oils are bad. If it has seed oils in it,
really bad.
No. And the sad thing about it is like when it comes to dog food, it's one of the most biggest abuses you can see is in seed food.
Lurpak butter is also pretty good.
Where's Lurpak from? I don't know Lurpak. I've never seen it in the store. Is it?
It's a
Lurpak. Lurpak.
Where's it from?
There it is.
Lurpak, Danish. No, it's Danish. I take that back.
There you go. Lurpak. I've never seen it in the stores here.
Is it Lurpak? No, it's Lurpak.
It's Lurpak. No, I've never seen that. I've not even seen that at all now. But this is what
I can remember as a kid. I was probably
Kerrygold, baby, right there.
Yep, best butter. Kerrygold. That's the best. I remember as a kid that when I was out in California. I was probably I was 6. I don't remember how exactly how old. And they had stores out there called Thrifty, and at Thrifty you could get sherbet, and I used to love ice cream, the rainbow sherbet. That was the best. So my mother would bring me over there. We'd get the rainbow sherbet. Walking out of the store, the rainbow sherbet fell off of the cone and hit the sidewalk. It was probably 100 degrees outside. It hit the sidewalk, didn't melt. Went in, got another one, came back out. It still hadn't melted. I think that was the last time my mother ever got me the rainbow sherbet. That it didn't melt. 100 degrees outside and it wasn't melting. So you got to consider, it's like, what the hell is this stuff that we've been fed, since back
Lurpak is a Danish brand. I don't know the Kerrygold. That's like the one I swear by, the Kerrygold, but I'd be happy to try Lurpak. I've just never seen it. I haven't seen it anywhere where it's available. I would love to try it though.
Wonder if we have it here.
I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen it. We do have it made.
So here, Charles was saying fresh fish. We don't have access to fresh fish here. It's really difficult to get true because we don't have a good. Yeah, but
Pops. Go to Pops in Deerfield Beach.
Then you got to go. You have to go out of your way. You have to drive. It's not like it's at every grocery store.
No, it's not in every grocery store. It's true, but there is a lot of fresh fish. And if you know the right people, the boats and stuff, they go to the right stores. But yeah, it's not as accessible as you would think. Look at this right here. W.F. Pansy says, "Alchemist, my friend. Good evening. Good evening. Very good evening.
Good evening.
Been preaching carnivore for almost 10 years now. Used to take 6 pharma pills a day. Haven't taken any in 6 months." And Van and I have had conversations about this, like some of the turnaround that he's had in his life and his world. And this guy works his ass off too, man. This guy puts hours in like nobody's business. He's worked 80-hour weeks on for weeks on end, man. This guy works like nobody's business, no doubt.
Here's another one. I don't think I've ever seen. I haven't seen Crisco in a long time. I've never seen it used in anything.
It's good. You can use it as a candle, though, Jeff. I like the idea of a freaking candle.
That's a really cool idea. Rob, what was that? Not spam, but the Pam.
Ooh, look at that, Jeff. Kerrygold herb, the best finishing butter for a ribeye. Now you got me excited. I feel hungry. I feel like putting something on the grill and just firing it up, Jeff.
Cartoon bear crowd still in the insane asylum. That's right.
Yeah, they're still in the insane asylum.
You get fresh mahi in season in Florida, but like northern, they decimated the fishing industry in South Florida for the most part. It's hard to get. You can't just like show up at a dock somewhere and get good fresh fish.
How about this? Carnivore spot on. Let Greta eat bugs. How'd that kid become so popular? She probably has she's probably set for life now.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, hell
Randy,
yeah,
what's
Randy.
up? Randy over there in Kauai, fresh fish. That
Yeah,
sounds
that's
good.
one thing you guys will never have anything.
Hawaii.
Well, it's good. It's helping. It's good if you're right in the middle of the Pacific too, just perfectly located with nothing else around for forever and a day except for
except fish.
Except for some fish, yeah. Living out of a lunchbox isn't for everybody and hard to eat healthy. Caught up with me, but I'm back, baby. That's it, guys. That's it. That's the show. We have 10 minutes over, but thank you for hanging with us. We really just thought it was important to cover Deaton today because it's an important race. If you guys can contribute $5 if you believe in him. If you're in the US, that is, look, contribute $5. You can set up $5 this month, the next month. Every little bit helps. I do a monthly myself, so I just feel like it's a really important race, and I believe Deaton's going to win because I think when he gets her on, even if he only ends up doing 2 debates, you're not going to get around him, man. You're not going to get around Deaton. He understands Wall Street. He understands crypto. He can take her apart. And when she's coming there like, well, here's the thing. We're going to lose the Supreme Court, and we're going to blah, 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 blah. She sounds like just like a heckling, cackling. Yeah, that's what she sounds like, Jeff. She sounds like a cackling hen. Yeah, she's gonna. Yeah, I think that's going to be a phenomenal moment. That's probably going to be highlighted on the national political shows, and he needs to just be everywhere he can get booked because he's the real deal. And out of all the candidates I've seen, he's probably the most exciting. I know I'm making a big deal out of the dude running against Sherrod Brown. I know they're making a big deal of some of these other candidates. Man, no one's better than Deaton. Let's go.
That's right. So to get out of here, you guys rock.
Thank
you. You guys rock.
You guys, you rock. You do. Clash. I love this. Cash Velocity. Is there ever been better handle for YouTube? She might be back for a second. Crypto Karen has to go down. Yeah, I agree, Alchemist. She has to go down, dude. And look, anything we can do to bring her down, man, let's go, man. When she was asked point blank and she started talking about the national stuff, Deaton's going to tear her apart on that in a debate. So all right, guys.
To get out of here, we're going to play a song, and then we're going
to play a song. We'll get out of here. This is a crypto song.
It's a crypto song. We put this together, AI assisted. It's called Power Play Crypto War. So we're going to play this on the way out. And we'll check you guys out. What's today? Today's Sunday?
Today's Sunday, Jeff. Yeah.
Wednesday.
I
had to think about
You'll Wednesdays. Be solo Wednesday. I'll be out on Wednesday. So you'll be
it'll be interesting because that'll be post-debate. There's a big debate coming up on the 10th. So we'll have to commentary on that and see how things actually unfold. Be interesting. Be the beginning.
Yeah.
The end.
You'll have fun with that one for sure. Throw it up there, Jeff.
So here we go. Let's fire it up, and that's it. Let's have some fun. Here we go. Let's hit that play button right there.
The suits are scream and regulate while freedom fights in vain. Behind the walls of capital, the money rules the day. But out here in the real world, we're breaking free anyway. Decentralized, they can't control. The power shifting, lose their hold. But they'll do anything to take back what we stole. XRP's rising, but they're dragging us down. Politics fighting just to keep us down. Crypto's the weapon, they can take it away. And this power play will make them pay. Old men in offices playing the same old game. The currency of the people ain't worth their dirty name. They fear what they can't understand, so they push us to the edge. But innovation's burning bright, we're standing on the ledge. Decentralized, we hold the key, a future where we all break free. But they'll do anything to stop what they can see. XRP's rising, but they're dragging us down. Politics fighting just to keep us bound. Crypto's the weapon, they can take it away. And this power play will make them pay. This war isn't over, but we've just begun. But people awaken, the chains coming undone. They fear the unknown, but we hold the light. In this fight for the future, we won't lose sight. But make them pay. This war isn't over, but we've just begun. The people awake and the chains coming undone. They fear the unknown, but we hold the light. In this fight for the future, we won't lose sight. XRP's rising, but they're dragging us down. Politics fighting just to keep us bound. Crypto's the weapon, they can take it away. And this power play will make them pay. This one captures the rebellious spirit of 90s crimes while addressing the power struggle with it in cryptocurrency.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.